This is the 2024 Ram Rebel 1500. It's in the Granite Crystal exterior. It's got the Night package, the GT package, and pretty much every other option you can think of. Inside of the Ram Rebel, you're going to find 18-inch wheels. On top of that, because this is the Rebel, it has a 1-inch lift right from the factory that goes beautifully with that off-road tuned suspension that you're going to find strictly available inside of the Rebel. The Rebel does have up to 9.1-inch ground clearance, which is pretty solid. You're also going to find some unique fender flares that pop out a tiny little bit. Not too crazy. Like I've seen some pretty wild ones like the Wrangler, where these things like pop out like crazy. So if you want a little bit more protection because you're going off-road, mud flaps or just do something aftermarket to protect that body. You're going to find LED headlamps and then the option for LED fogs with the forward sensing system. There's even a front-facing camera as well in the grille, so full 360 view. But all the technology is going to depend on which packages you've added on and which trim level of the vehicle that you're looking at. Because inside of the Rebel, the forward sensing system and that front-facing camera are not standard. You do have to add them on at time of ordering from the factory. You will find 2 tow hooks in the front though, along with front bash plates, which are really useful if your plan is to take this beast off-road. Underneath the hood of the 2024 Ram, you've got 3 different engine choices that are available. So it's either the 3.6 liter Pentastar, there's the 5.7 liter Hemi V8 with eTorque, and then there's still the 6.2 liter as well that's available as an option when you get into that TRX. But power-wise, the 5.7 liter Hemi is great. 395 horsepower, 410 pound-feet of torque. And I did mention that this thing has the eTorque system, so it replaces the traditional alternator with a 48 volt instead, and that gives you good launch. So very, very useful if your plan is to be towing inside of your Ram. There is a boatload of space underneath the hood here, especially off to the passenger side compartment. Like it is surprisingly wild, the amount of space and just how clean this thing looks now. There's a beautiful engine cover with a Ram badge along the one side, and then Ram airflow along the driver's side. You can easily top up your fluids. There's easy access to the battery, and then even checking your oil is surprisingly straightforward here. The Ram warranty is pretty respectable, but it does also hinge on you taking care of your vehicle, because if something happens and you haven't been properly maintaining it, if it's traced back to that lack of maintenance, your warranty could potentially be void for that specific issue. So just do yourself a favor, get regular oil changes, perform regularly scheduled maintenance to protect your investment. Filling up fuel inside of the Ram is straightforward, and it's just along the driver's side. So it's an unlocked cover with a capless system. Now, if you're in the 3.6 liter Pentastar or the 5.7 liter Hemi V8, minimum manufacturer's recommendation is just regular 87 gas, so just regular fuel. If you're inside of that 6.2 liter TRX though, you're definitely going to want to make sure you use a premium fuel. But the 3.6 and then the 5.7 Hemi just require 87. This Ram is unique, and it's not just because it's the Rebel trim level with most available features. It also has the available RamBox. This box is lockable. So all you're going to do, there's this little button you got to fiddle with, and then this thing can pop right open, which is nice. Now, it is plastic on the inside here, but you've got a few lights, and then there's also a 400-watt wall plug built in as well, just on the driver's side. You're not going to find one built on the passenger side, unfortunately. One other thing to point out is that whether or not you get these, it's going to depend on what your plan is with your truck, because these things don't make the truck wider. It takes up interior bed space, which I'll show you in just a second. The GT is going to have a few unique features outside of the decal. So it does give you a few extras. There's some nice black highlights throughout. You've got your Rebel badge along the bottom left side, 4x4 along the bottom right. And then this thing also has the 4 and the 7-pin wiring provisions. When it comes down to towing inside of this thing, it's going to depend on a number of things. Are you 4x2 or 4x4? Which truck configuration do you have? Which engine do you have? It is all over the place. You're looking roughly anywhere between about 6,300 pounds up to 12,750 pounds. So that is all over the place, but Ram does have a fairly useful tool that you can use to figure out what your towing capacity is going to be. Spare tire is located just underneath the vehicle there as well if you ever need to change it out yourself. or you could just use Ram roadside assistance instead. And getting into the bed of this thing, straightforward. And the Ram does have a series of different beds that are available. So you've got either this just like drop down. There's also a multi-function one, which is pretty neat. But before I show you this box, there's one thing I have to point out too, and that's to do with payload. Payload capacity inside of pretty much every truck when you're factory ordering is really, really difficult to pinpoint. That's where working with a sales rep comes into play. So Pickering Ram, I'm going to drop their contact details down in the description of this video. But the Ram in general, you're pretty much between like 1,200 pounds on the low end, like 23, almost 2,400 pounds on the high end. But again, it's going to depend on your configuration of the truck. Are you 4x2, 4x4, 3.6 liter, 5.7 liter Hemi? How do you have your trucks built out? Everything you add on, the sunroof, the boxes, everything is going to subtract from your total allowable payload. So inside of this one, or any built truck, if you want to know what its payload is, on the door sticker, so yellow door sticker on the driver's side, is pop the door open and that's going to tell you the max payload. In this one, you're maxing out at 1,290 pounds. So if you need a truck that has more towing capacity or payload capacity, just make sure you spec your truck out right. Max payload, you're pretty much looking at taking out every available option. It's going to be a pretty much naked truck. So that's something to think about. Now, because this thing is the Rebel 5'7" box, and because it's also got the RamBox, this thing also loses a little bit of width. But I mean, realistically, it's not a ton of space that it does lose, but it still does lose a little bit of space. And that's the sacrifice that you need to make if you want some functional toolboxes or storage inside of this thing. Tonneau cover is a little bit more tricky with this setup, but you do have the option for trifold hardtop. There's soft rolling. You could also cap this thing out. So there are a lot of options from that perspective. You've also got different options for the bed of the truck itself, because this one's completely naked. Because this thing has the box in there, a little bit trickier to find a factory liner that's like a slide-in plastic. So if you have this setup, spray-in is going to be your option. And I normally recommend going aftermarket through Line-X. It's about twice as thick as any factory liner you're going to get, and it also has a lifetime warranty. So that would be my recommendation there. The side view mirrors inside of this thing, the way that it's spec'd out, you've got your turn signals there. It has the blind spot monitoring system, and then these things are also heated and power folding. But there are a series of different mirror choices that are available. This one doesn't have running boards, so it makes it a little bit tricky to hop inside, but thing to point out here, you've also got this little button you can use in order to be able to lock the door, or slide your hand in order to unlock. Now along the side, you can see this nice highlight, but that follows through different parts of the vehicle there. There is seat memory that's available, a few different speaker choices as well. And then these, just basic buttons there. So you can see, you can adjust your side view mirrors, power folding side view mirror capability. Hello, down it goes. And then you've got your side view mirror control, unlock and lock button, a little bit of storage with some cup holders along the driver's side there too. Along the inside, you can see the vent has this nice like weave texture that follows through. Basic controls for your cabin lights. Normally always recommend just keep yourself in the auto mode. Controls for your fogs, dimmer switches for the inside, and then adjust the brightness of the cluster screen there as well. Dropping down, you've got the electronic parking brake, the option for power pedals, which is kind of neat. So if you're vertically challenged, you do have that available as an option. And then because this one has the RamBox, you can also toggle the cargo plug on or off as well. You've got your HUD release there. Basic pedal. Actually, I guess these are upgraded pedals because this is the Rebel version of the truck. Steering wheel inside of this thing, you're looking at manual telescoping. And then the seats, because this is the GT, a little bit more unique than what you're going to traditionally find inside of the Rebel. I love it though. That seat looks good, feels premium. You've got a series of different controls as well. So you can move the seat forwards, backwards, up or down, adjust the backrest. And then there's also 4-way lumbar support. So you can adjust it there and then move the support up or down. On top of that, the headrest of this thing 4-way adjustable. Basic accessory mode, run mode. Look at that start up. That's beautiful. Oop, low gas. I love that. Really, really nice all around. New driver. I'll exit on that one for now. Let's remind me later. When the person who buys this truck gets to set it up themselves. But this is really, really nice. I love it. All the basic stitching that you can find throughout. Basic controls to go through the cluster screen. Adaptive cruise control as well. So this is the set it and forget it cruise. But if you want to walk through on the Rebel for the steering wheel, the cluster, the infotainment system, whatever the case may be, drop down in the description of the video. I've put together a comprehensive walkthrough showing you how everything works. But with this digital setup, it's really neat. So you've got the tachometer, the speedometer. You can go into this unique view instead. So neat. Got paddle shifters inside of this thing. So minus on the left, plus on the right-hand side. But if you want to walk through on how to actually use paddle shifters, you'll find that down in the description. One thing that I like about the steering wheel inside of Ram vehicles, along the back. So you can see there, you've got some buttons. So you're going to be able to change between presets, change between sources. And that's the same on both sides. So this one here, a little bit more tricky to see, but you've also got a volume rocker there too. And then you can change between your actual sources there, which is kind of neat. I like it. I like that setup. The badge there is going to be specific to the trim level of the vehicle that you're in. So this is the Rebel, so that's why you've got the Rebel badge along the top. But you've got speakers all over the place, the upgraded Harman Kardon. So you can see those speakers everywhere. I love it. Did mention, so the steering wheel inside of this thing is manual telescoping. There's the option for a heated steering wheel. You can see the heated button right there. It's grayed out just because I'm in run mode. I don't have the vehicle fully started up right now, but you've got so many different options. Comfort setting where you could turn on your heated steering wheel there too. You can also use the voice command prompt to be able to adjust your climate and turn on all of these different settings. It's really, really neat. I like that setup. Nice groove texture. There's a little power point, so 12-volt power point there. I like the fan decal though. That's really nice. Same for the driver passenger side. Push button start there. Nice little 1500 badge. Down low, you've got a series of options. So you've got axle lock, 4-wheel drive auto, 2, etc. So in a nutshell, you're going to be in, honestly, 4-wheel drive auto a good part of the time. Summertime driving is normally best for 2-wheel drive. 4 high is where you're going to go if you're going to be in, let's say, deep snowy conditions, if it's slippery out. And then low is if you're pulling heavy loads, pulling a boat out of water, if you're rock crawling, so going off-road and things like that. Auto start stop is the one that's potentially going to kill power to the engine if you're stopped for an extended period of time. You could toggle that bad boy off if you wanted to though. Tons of different buttons. So you've got dual zone climate control inside of this thing, fan control on the screen there, and then you've got the control right in the screen. So like comfort setting there. You can see there you can adjust your climate, but there is a lot to the screen itself. So what I recommend, if you want to walk through on how the screen actually works, check down in the description of the video for a full Uconnect 5 walkthrough. There, you can turn your lane keeping system on or off, 4-way blinkers, and then there's also active park assist available too, which is kind of neat. There's a map built in, so this thing does have factory navigation, but the factory nav inside of Uconnect, very, very responsive. It is a TomTom navigation in Uconnect 5. You've got options for media, so you could use things like AM, FM, Sirius XM. If you had a USB stick on you that has MP3s, you could also use that. So let's do a quick little audio test. So you can see there, series of different power points down low. Plugging ourselves in. There's an aux cable down there as well. So if you've got a 3.5 mil aux cable, you can plug yourself in that way. But through here, you've got a series of sources. So FM, Sirius XM, Bluetooth, USB, AM. So if you've got, USB stick, plug that in, and let's go.
You're successful because they try to be. They sit there being judgmental because you're trying things, and they just want you to settle and do the right thing. So get a good job.
Okay. The volume that you saw there is set up halfway. The audio inside of this thing,
Anything that I wouldn't do. And when you're making money,
it is absolutely ridiculous, and that's because of the upgraded Harman Kardon sound system you're going to find. So inside of the Ram, you're going to find a series of different options that are available. But I mean, you heard it there. That sound is incredible. So if you're an audiophile, the upgraded system is probably something you may want to look at. But tons of different options available there for media. Mentioned comfort, navigation, phones. You could hook up your phone over strictly Bluetooth if you wanted to, or you could hook up wirelessly through Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. There's a series of different options available for vehicles, so different options for camera. Ooh, interesting. Surround camera and a series of other options. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful 360 cam. You can go more of like a backup view instead. Forward view. The backup cam, and then you've also got a trail cam there too. You've also got the option of putting in more cameras. So if you've got a trailer camera, your own unique hooked up camera, things like that. Really, really neat. I love that front facing camera because if your plan is to take this thing off road, having a forward facing camera is very, very useful. There's performance pages, trailer towing. Performance pages is not standard inside of this thing, but you see there you've got your timers, different gauges, your dyno, G-force, vehicle dynamics. So it's so useful, like vehicle pitch and roll, dynamics for your steering angle, transfer case, rear axle locks, and things like that. So you can see what's going on with your vehicle as you drive. Snapshot if you ever have issues, or if you wanted to kind of snapshot. I think the big one there would be timers. So if you wanted to do like lap acceleration timers, which is kind of cool. I like that. Trailer towing and trailers as well. So useful, so you can see what's going on there with different cameras, series of different controls. Like there are so many things to this vehicle. Moving down, you've got your integrated brake controller. You've also got the option of toggling off your traction control. There's a tow haul mode. You can also toggle off your front or your rear sensing system. So the beeping that you get as you back up, if that drives you nuts, it's kind of cool. You've got the flexibility of turning one or both of them on or off. It's a tiny little storage tray there. Mentioned all of the different power points. So wireless charge pad available here. And then the shifter with park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then a dedicated sport mode. So when you're in drive, you push over to get to that sport mode instead. And that's a neat one because it's like you're using paddle shifters, but just with like a traditional shifter instead. It is a really, really neat one. From there, you've also got a few cup holders, nice Ram logo with multi-tiered storage. So you've got this little storage tray with a USB power point down there. Lift this thing up. You've also got measurement units. And then down below, you might just be able to make it out. There you go. So there also is another wall outlet there. And then you've got some little graphics and decals along the very bottom. Shooting up to the side, there's also this little guy. Nice. Tiny little storage tray there. We've also got a lockable glove box with a decent amount of space. A handle, assist handle, so both the driver and the passenger side there, which is kind of nice. So I guess driver, passenger side. Up overhead, this thing has, ooh, I like that. Hold on, let's get rid of this sticker. Oh, I love that. Ah, look at that. Okay, that's really cool. Fully digital rear view mirror. That is a really neat feature. Then you can also adjust the brightness if you wanted to, brighter, darker. You can move the positioning up or down. Really neat. I love that. So rather than your like traditional flip digital. I love that. Such a neat feature. Love that you can customize the basics there as well. So positioning and then the brightness, or just go to your old school instead. Really neat. Up overhead from there. This thing also has sunglasses holder and then a series of other options. So this is going to be for your sunroof. So let's open up the shade. So single button press there opens it up halfway. Secondary button press will open it up that full way. I mean, look at that. It just opens things up so nicely. So you've got your basic controls there. So it's a single button press, as I said, for halfway, and then closing it is just a single button press there. But you can also tilt if you wanted to. You can close, tilt, close, and then you can also open and close. So let's open it up. So single button press. It's a little bit of a slower open, but single button press opens it up the full way. Secondary button press opens it up that last little bit. I mean, look at that. Got a little bug guard there as well. Very useful. And from there, single button press should close it full way. Yeah, there we go. So full way close with this, just a single button press there. Love that. And then same idea, so with the shade. So you can just do single button press there in order to be able to fully close the shade. So again, just kind of in a nutshell, what you have to do first is at least open up the shade there, and then you can tilt if you want to, or you fully open or close. So one button press opens it up the majority of the way, secondary button press opens it up the full way, and then it's a single button press to close each of them. On top of that, there's a little button, and that's for little power openings, rear window there. Now one thing is that you actually have to press and hold, because if you don't, it's not going to open or close the full way. So it's not full power from that perspective. You've got assist or SOS mode if you ever get into accidents and need help. You can also toggle on all of your lights for the inside. You can also lower the bed or the tailgate right from the inside here too, which is kind of neat. From there, the visor has the home link system built in. So if you've got a garage door opener at home, you can easily program that in. I'll drop down in the description of the video for a link off to how to program this thing. There's also a little receipt holder, ticket holder on the outside and on the inside. Vanity mirror with lights built in. And then this thing extends out. Blocking all of it. There's like a teeny little bit, but that's honestly blocking all of the sun that might be hitting your face. Now, seat comfort wise. So the seat inside of this thing is really nice. Hold on, I got to set it up the way that I would traditionally drive. A little bit further forward. Yeah, there we go. So a little bit further forward, which is good. Headrest, I like that it's a 4-way adjustable. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So find that perfect position so you can lift it up and down, go forwards or backwards with it, just to make it that like perfect position for you. I like that it's got 4-way lumbar support as an option too. So you can kind of slide it up or down as necessary, just to kind of make it that nice little bit. But overall, like the highlights there are nice. Like the GT badge there is good. I'd prefer to have the Rebel badge, but kind of showing that it's the GT rather than the Rebel, like just the regular Rebel, I think is kind of nice, because there are some GT highlights that you get that aren't standard in the truck, but I still love this. So cool. All of these small little highlights, like these small pieces of tech, I love it. Really, really neat. But with the driver's seat set up this way, so me being 6 feet tall, inside of the second row, I've got a good amount of knee space, great amount of foot space, and up overhead, sitting fully upright, like 3.5-ish inches of head space, which is still pretty respectable. Now, the few things that I can point out back here, you've got pockets behind both the driver and the passenger side, but just even basic styling. Like you've got this nice metallic highlight and it follows through all the way around. I like that little finish there. But you've got a few cup holders, a few vents, and then on top of that, tiny little storage tray, and then buttons for heated second row seats. And the second row heated seats, strictly gonna be for the outboard. So this middle seat, never gonna be heated inside of this thing. There's a boatload of USB power points, so USB Type-C and then 2 USB, and then a 400-watt wall plug back here too. Pretty good. But the seat comfort is definitely there. The overall styling is good. There's a little handle, hook, and then light. And that's the same for the passenger side too. And above that, you can see a few speakers along the back. This thing also has some cup holders. Very useful. Anchor points are there. Top tether points you can just kind of make out, along with that power sliding rear window. Now these seats aren't locked into place, so you could just pick them up. But you can see there is a little bit of floor storage. So let's take a quick peek. All right. So popping up, driver's side. And then when you lift the seat up, like these things they're there. Like you can crank it down fairly easily, but you can lock them up into place as well. but you've also got that floor storage. So tiny little floor storage area. There's not really much to it. You can easily drop down and then lift up if you wanted to lock it back in place again. But a little bit of floor storage, but you've also got these little guys. So on both the driver passenger side. So lifting this thing up, a little bit of floor storage. I just think that's a really, really neat feature. So built in both sides there, which is great. I gotta say, I really, really like the sound of this thing. It purrs so nicely. That's nice. The sound is there. The power is definitely there. Like inside of this thing, 395 horsepower and 410 pound-feet of torque. This thing does have paddle shifters, so it's so good. Oh, it's so good. I love me my paddle shifters. Such a useful thing. Like if you've got paddle shifters in your car or truck and you've never played around with it before, you've got to watch a video I put together on how to use them, because once you actually get the hang of paddle shifters, you're going to love it. Paddle shifters are great to use. Most cars and trucks, this thing included, also has like a sport or like a manual mode instead. So you've got better control over which gear you're in as you go. Very useful for wintertime driving, or you want some more like instant power. It's so good. And that was a look at the 2024 Ram 1500 in the beautiful granite crystal exterior. You can find a build link for this truck down in the description, along with the contact details for Pickering Ram, who were nice enough to lend this thing to me for the afternoon to shoot the video for you guys today. But if you found this useful, thumbs up, share it with someone if you think they might find it helpful. And until I see you next time, take care. This is the 2024 Ram 1500 Rebel. It's in the Granite. Filling up fuel inside of the Ram is straightforward, just along the driver's side. It's an unlacked cover.